Welcome to the Danny Clinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Insightful and witty commentary, probing interviews, and detours from the beaten path.
Welcome to Monday Musings, Danny SportsWrap. It's presented by Nononsensehealthcareninja.com. We welcome Chad Beisel aboard, and make sure to check out his banner ad at DannyClinkscale.com and the ad you'll hear right after our introduction to get some great help with your healthcare needs. Nononsensehealthcareninja.com, the presenting sponsor of Monday Musings, Danny SportsWrap. And variety, they say, is the spice of life. That's an old-timey phrase. Well, we haven't had much spice in our life if variety is the issue as far as sports is concerned, but we certainly have it now. Leagues rolling, games being played, basically in all sports except football, and that's to come, and it's to come soon. 2 weeks from Thursday, the Chiefs started up. They, of course, practiced with fans over the weekend. We'll get into that a little bit. The Royals played 3 games over the weekend, and they were tough, tight games, which all the games against the Twins this year kind of have been, mostly, and they finished up their season series at 5-5, although the Royals took the first 3 of those and 4 of the first 5, so the Twins kind of bounced back. The 2 young starting pitchers for the Royals got a little dose of reality their last couple times out, but you knew that was going to happen. There were all kinds of major sports events across the landscape, some which you may have paid attention to, some which you may have not. The Champions League, one of soccer's most prestigious events, took place, and Bayern Munich is king. There was a women's major championship with an unbelievably surprising Cinderella story, and we'll touch on that as well. All kinds of things to talk about. A lot of frenetic action in the NBA, which has turned into uber scoring land with tremendous individual performances, triple-doubles and 50-point games all over the lot. As I said, a whole lot of variety as far as sports is concerned right now, and we'll dish on that coming up next. It's time now to get some great assistance on healthcare with Chad Beisel from Nononsensehealthcareninja.com. And Chad, even your business's name would indicate that you have a real aggressive way and an important way to go after some health insurance for your clients.
What I've found out in the industry is just a lot of people are really confused. They don't know what plans are good, what their plans offer, how they cover. And so I've just taken the approach of being really educated on what options are available to clients and showing them all the options that are available and making sure they understand them so they can pick and choose what options are good for them.
And one thing that's really important, of course, is access to doctors and hospitals.
Absolutely. That's becoming a big issue for a lot of people. Some of the plans out there are going to restrict those clients to where they can and cannot go. So if you live just outside the Kansas City metro, some of the counties outside, you may not be able to go to some of the hospitals up here in the Kansas City area. So making sure that you have a plan that's got doctors and hospitals and places you want to go is really, really important today.
Learn more by visiting NoNonsenseHealthcareNinja.com and let Chad help you. Firsthand, I have enjoyed the benefits of the CBD products from Canaway. My back feels better and better these days as a major part of my routine are the pain-relieving salve and the pure gold oil. And recently I had the pleasure of a treatment session using the Canaway CBD in conjunction with the Microlight 830 cold laser. The non-invasive treatment session worked wonders, and I could barely tell I was even being touched. TML 830 is the first 3B cold laser to get FDA approval, and in addition, the combination treatment with CBD is patent pending. The new smart laser is the only hands-free cold laser in the world and is used by athletic trainers, chiropractors, MDs, physical therapists, and veterinarians everywhere. You can learn more about all the great benefits from the complete line of Canaway CBD products by contacting my friend Sherry McCants at 515-208-6312. That's 515-208-6312 to get outstanding information about Canaway. Cinematic Visions has been an affordable solution for professional media production in Kansas City since 2003, offering award-winning video production and creation, as well as a wide array of digital and social media management services. From planning, scripting, filming, editing, and post-production, to delivering your product to a watching world, Cinematic Visions will provide professional and affordable services for you and your business with the necessary return on investment to make it all worthwhile. Cinematic Vision's goal is to unlock the power of storytelling through video and a strong online presence for your company. Beyond the numbers, they want to inspire and evoke your clients to feel and act. Let my friends at Cinematic Visions embed your brand where it belongs, in your customers' minds. You can find them online at cinematicvisions.com or with a quick phone call at 816-600-6300. I'm here with Tim Emerson, the owner of Emerson & Company. And Tim, give us an idea of the range of services that you provide from Emerson & Company.
At Emerson & Company, we do credit card processing, payroll services. We do bookkeeping, merchant accounts like point-of-sale systems.
What would you say differentiates you from other companies in the field, and what makes you special?
I think what makes us unique is that we're a small local business making regional decisions on companies. We create a profile for the business and then put it out to our different vendors in a very competitive environment and tailor those needs to the specific business, which usually ends up in a great fit or great result for the company.
And, of course, the idea is to save money, right?
Save money, and actually sometimes I'm surprised where actually a solution that may cost a little bit more ultimately does save money, but we're not conditioned to think like that sometimes.
Emerson & Company. Check them out at emerson-co.com or call them at 816-360-9092.
If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at danny@dannyclinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you.
Welcome back to Monday Musings, Danny Sports Wrap, brought to you by Nononsensehealthcareninja.com. You talk about a story that kind of vaporized. On Sunday, there was all kind of frenetic action as far as reportage is concerned of 77 positive tests in the National Football League, and just as fast as that happened, with a potential breakout of double digits in a couple of teams, the NFL announced that one of the labs had gotten it all wrong and that the 77 tests all came back as false positives. And I said it last week, and I'll say it again, the remarkably low positive test totals in the NFL seem a little unusual to me. I mean, it's so low so far with young men who are not participating in a bubble, who are playing a contact sport. I'm not saying I smell a rat, but I'm sort of saying I smell a rat, and I hope I'm absolutely positively wrong, but I'm not going to say that it doesn't scream across my consciousness when we do get a flurry of positive tests, and then all of a sudden the league turns right around and says that they really weren't positive tests. But you can hardly find hide nor hair of the story today. As I was watching Get Up, ESPN's show, it seems to have just gone away. So, indeed, let's crank up with football talk, both kinds. Well, the kind that was displayed on Saturday at Arrowhead was the first time that fans actually got out to watch a practice for the Kansas City Chiefs. There's all kinds of weird restrictions that are being placed on the media as far as these. This was considered a closed practice, even though there were fans in the stands. So legally, by NFL standards, it was a closed practice, which means that the media can't talk about who was running with the first team and the second team. I guess you just have to agree to these things or they're not going to let you in. But the fans were there, a couple thousand of them. By most accounts, it went reasonably well. I saw a video with some of the ways that the protocols were done. Most reports indicated that mask wearing was indifferent, not bad, not great. But the fans did get to sit out in the sunshine and watch the players go after it and watch Harrison Butker try to kick 60-yard field goals. And anytime Patrick Mahomes is on a football field, fans are happy. And next time around, they're going to do another event for season ticket holders, and this time they're going to make it 5,000. Of course, when the season begins, it will be 17,000 in the stands, as it stands now, if we proceed ahead. And, around the league, you're just seeing completely different things. Many teams have already announced that there will be no fans, at least at the outset. The Chiefs are giving it a try. It doesn't seem like a particularly outstanding idea in my estimation. I don't think it's going to be very easy to be able to police what is going on with the fans. Talked about it in different settings, including with Seren Petro on Friday on WHB. The fact that if you're allowed to have your mask off when you're eating or drinking, they'll either encourage fans to be drinking the whole time and eating, or they will just have the beer at hand, and if anybody comes by, they can just raise it up to their lips and say, well, I'm drinking, I don't have to wear my mask. And I would think that there's going to be a lot of people who don't have a mask on the entire game. If they stay in their pods, I guess it is not entirely a disaster, but I don't think the pod regulations are probably going to be followed very closely, as you're supposed to be basically in a pod with people who are in your own sort of family unit, people that you live with on a regular basis and are around on a regular basis. I think some of those pods will be made up of a group of friends who live in different places and everything else. How in any way are you going to be able to police that type of thing? They're just counting on people to be honest and to do the right thing, and doing the right thing, at least as far as the restrictions that have been put in place by the government agencies and things like that. Now, some people don't think of those as the right thing, but we haven't seen those followed in a tremendous fashion so far. So it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see if we have breakouts. It'll be interesting to see if the stadiums will be considered clusters, and that will probably well determine whether some other teams will decide to open up, or whether teams like the Chiefs who open up have to back off and restrict the situation to no fans as well. What we've seen so far is that the sports where they have had extreme protocols in place, or in foreign nations where they have been able to really get the numbers way, way down, have been the places where there's been great success. And in baseball, they've had far more challenges, although those seem to be lessening a little bit as time goes on. But the real recurring theme as far as the Chiefs seem to be concerned for me is that there is a sense of normalcy around the Kansas City Chiefs. There is more talk about football than anything else. Actually, this first practice with fans was one of the first times in a couple of weeks that really the talk about the Chiefs was not about who the backup quarterback was going to be or what any position battles, although there are few, there are indeed in place. And only when these things pop up, like the next event for the season ticket holders, do we hear things talked about outside of football. The practice chatter is very similar to what it is in other years, and of course that's very exciting for football fans because the Kansas City Chiefs are the defending champions of football for the first time in a half a century. So that is a very, very cool thing for the fans, and they got a couple thousand of them anyway, got a little taste of normalcy by being inside the stadium and watching guys run around and sort of play football at Arrowhead Stadium. Well, playing a very interesting brand of the other kind of football on Friday night in Minneapolis were Sporting Kansas City as they solidified their hold on the top spot in the Western Conference with a 2-1 win over Minnesota. And to say this game was unusual is a gigantic understatement. There were 2 own goals in the game and a 2-1 win for Sporting, and the other one was virtually an own goal. I'll just describe them to you. The first goal was scored by Jalen Lindsey, although he was trying to pass to Roger Espinoza. At first, it looked like Espinoza had either chested it or barely touched it with his toe and would get credit for the goal. But in the end, what turned out to be the case was that the cross went in and the keeper was caught in no man's land, and he just watched as the ball sailed into the net. And so Sporting got a bit of a gift there, although they were putting pressure. It was a pressurized play with Espinoza making a good run, so it did put the keeper in a difficult position, so Sporting grabs the lead. Well, Lindsey, probably feeling a little bit of good fortune to get a goal there. Well, the good fortune went the other way against him a little bit later on as he was playing left back and probably didn't close out a player as well as he should. He was several yards away. Ethan Finley, was delivered a shot. It went off of Lindsey and allowed Tim Melia no chance whatsoever, and it was a goal that evened things up as well. And then later on, another own goal, this one in the favor of Sporting Kansas City, as Johnny Russell, on a good attack by Sporting Kansas City, was able to deliver a cross. He was about 5 yards from the touchline, the end line, and the defender for Minnesota just basically scored the goal. It was a clean winner. Right? It was a sitter right out front, and he put it right in the middle of the net for an own goal. That proved to be the difference. Tim Melia made some good saves, and there were some interesting lineup shifts, some due to family situations, as Ilie was not available, so Gianluca Busio, who has really never played the role, played a deep-lying 6 and provided playmaking. And as we're going to hear, I can talk about a game and analyze a soccer game a little bit, but there's no better person to go to than Peter Vermees to get your real recap of this game. And Peter Vermees is usually, in fact, he's almost always right on point, hard-hitting, honest, but he does lapse into a little bit of hyperbole here in the middle. We'll talk about that after you hear his comments about the 2-1 Sporting victory, and he liked the way things went.
Very good start. Good first goal. We were pushing. We deserved the first goal. They get a crazy goal on their goal. But I thought defensively, I thought we were good. We didn't lose ourselves in the game from the beginning to the end. I would say that, the lineup was produced a lot of what we trained over the last couple of weeks. And the individuals actually did a really good job. The guys who came in actually had to fulfill a role because we went to a 5-3-2 at the end of the game, just based off the personnel and what we knew that they would probably do late in the game. And I thought we handled it really well. And I think that we took, probably their biggest asset away from them is what they do is they serve the ball in the box really well and they get good runners into the box, and it puts teams under pressure. So we managed that. And I would only say, I think you said something about maybe not clean goals, but I'd say the second goal, when you go at a team and you put them under pressure, you create mistakes for them. And Johnny does a great job in getting to where he got to, puts the ball in an excellent, dangerous position, and guys are going to make mistakes, and they did. And so, excellent on our part and definitely deserving of 3 points.
And then you mentioned the lineup a little bit. I think the biggest surprise would be Buzio in the 6. He's a guy who he says he prefers to play a bit more forward. So what's the decision to play him there, and what do you think of his game?
Well, there was a guy who was a pretty good player in his day. His name was Pirlo, and he played as a deep-lying playmaker. And I thought actually Boost was excellent today. And so he gave us something a little different in the game. His work ethic, his ability to win balls. He got out of a lot of stuff. He stayed connected to the group without a lot of training in that spot. And he did a really good job adjusting to the position very, very well, and was effective. So I think for any player, opportunities on the field, no matter where you get them, you got to have the right attitude. And Bruce had a great attitude today, and I thought he played really well. He had a good performance.
Peter, I'm curious just how different a road game was this time around. This is kind of the third opportunity at a restart for the league. Just how different was it from you all leaving Kansas City to game day and now you all doing press right after the game? Just how different was it?
I mean, we're getting back to some, sense of normalcy. Playing at somebody else's stadium as opposed to, Orlando. That was surreal for sure. It still is a little bit not having fans in the stadium. But, coming here, traveling here, then going to the locker room, just having a regular kind of sequence within the way the game, starts and plays and all that stuff. It was good. I thought both teams actually competed pretty well for no fans in the stadium. Seems like the guys are kind of getting used to it a little bit. And, obviously a good run-up in Orlando. But it's going to continue to be very interesting. Obviously, it's not what we want to do, but it's the best thing that we have right now. And, I thought our guys handled it well from an enthusiasm perspective as well, because it can be very difficult to play without fans. I've said that before. And, fans make the ambiance of the stadium, the environment. It's what people love to be a part of, players, staff, and fans themselves. So we miss that, but, we got to kind of right now create our own environment, ambiance, enthusiasm in the stadium.
I said hyperbole as we led into that, and comparing Gianluca Busio's performance to that of the iconic Pirlo, as I said, was a little bit of hyperbole, but I get the point. He was talking about the style of role he was playing more than actually comparing Busio to Pirlo, but kind of a fun thing for them. And you heard about the stadium and a little bit more of normalcy from Vermes there at the end, and a little bit more of normalcy will take another step forward on Tuesday as Sporting Kansas City takes on Houston, and that will be at Children's Mercy Park, and there will be fans on hand for that one, 17% of capacity. A few thousand fans will be able to go out and watch the game, and we'll see how those protocols work, and that works for a different kind of sport, a sport where people gathering in close quarters and singing and doing things like that are often in effect maybe not quite as hard drinking a crowd as a American football game, but it'll be yet another step forward as some teams in MLS are trying to have fans. Obviously, Minnesota decided not to do that on Friday night. It's not a league-wide imprimatur, and they're going by the local markets. And the local market here, Wyandotte County, has said that they can play professional sports with fans. Seems a little counterintuitive to me because Wyandotte County or Kansas City, Kansas School District has said that there will be no fall sports for the high schoolers, but the professional athletes can play and fans can go watch. So that will be the next step on Tuesday as Sporting Kansas City, first place in the Western Conference, welcomes the Houston Dynamo to town. In another very significant soccer championship was played, the Champions League, no fans in Lisbon, Portugal, as Bayern Munich and Paris Saint-Germain played in the club championship elite European Championship. It used to be called the European Championship. It is the championship of all the club teams in Europe. This time around, no teams in the Final Four from either the Premier League or La Liga, which are generally considered the two top leagues in the world. Bayern Munich won 1-0. It was hardly a stunning game. The stunning thing to report from my standpoint is the fact that I actually live streamed the game. I was interested enough to do that, even though it wasn't on TV. CBS holds the rights, and it was on CBS Sports Network, which I don't have in any capacity. And so I did indeed watch the game 1-0. Bayern, Kingsley Coman, the only goal of the game. It wasn't that great a game, but it was a great goal. A ticky-tack, which is what ticky-tack football is made famous in La Liga a few years ago. It's sort of a tic-tac-toe passing play, ended up with a header for Coman. That was the only goal of the game. Bayern was the better team on the day. They deserved to win, and they are right up there with some of the top teams in Europe as far as the amount of Champions League titles that they had won. Of course, just like in keeping with many of the things we see, a completely empty stadium, but still players celebrating and having a great time as Bayern Munich wins the Champions League. Part 2 of Monday Musings, Danny Sports Wrap, will be a variety of notes led off by the Royals. There's all kinds of little things, fun things, great stories that are bubbling about in the world of sports, and that comes your way next.
More of Danny's Reasonably Irreverent podcast after this.
We're here with Joe Spiker, the CEO and president of Easton Roofing. And Joe, you had a great year in 2019, a record year. 2020 comes, things are moving smoothly along, and then the coronavirus comes. But your company seemed to be very ready, very proactive, and very ready to serve your customers well.
Yeah, we adopted social distancing very early before the cities even put out the notices. And we started working from home. We are largely cloud-based as a company, so that transition was easy. Our technicians are wearing masks and gloves, and salespeople are not meeting with homeowners. We're doing everything digitally and doing everything we can to do our part to get over this as quickly as possible.
So for any needs that people have right now, what's the best way to get in touch with you?
Well, you can always call us, 913-257-5426. But the best way is to go to eastonroofing.com, put your information in, and we'll give you a call.
Easton Roofing. Integrity matters.
Hi, everybody. This is Matt Llewellyn from 23rd Street Brewery in Lawrence. I just want to thank everybody for supporting local restaurants during this time of uncertainty. 23rd Street Brewery is now open until this pandemic is over. And right now, more than anything, local restaurants need your help and support. Come on out and see us. 23rd Street Brewery is open now from 11:30 till 9 o'clock for dine-in and carry-out. Whatever we can do to help you out, maybe with your catering needs, too. I appreciate all the support. And thank you for continuing to shop local.
Let's spend a minute with Dr. Brad Woodle, who, along with his wife, Dr. Christina Woodle, the owners of Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture, my home for chiropractic care. And first of all, just tell us about the wide range of services you offer.
Danny, we offer comprehensive chiropractic, acupuncture, physiotherapy, and rehab. We do a very thorough examination, x-rays on site as necessary, and we have a full rehabilitation department, so we can help out with exercises, stretches, different therapies for the complex, but also the very simple conditions we treat.
You have been deemed essential and have remained open all through this COVID-19 process. What are some of the things you've done to make sure that was the case?
From the very beginning, in March, we started to make sure that we were cleaning and and sanitizing with EPA-registered sanitizing products. We also implemented masks way before the state required them. We implemented a parking lot waiting room, took out half of the chairs in our waiting room, and made sure to space out visits so we could appropriately meet, discuss, and also screen patients to make sure we were taking care of healthy people.
Find out more about Advanced Sports and Family Chiropractic and Acupuncture and how they can help you at asfca.com. Most of us have experienced auto accidents, and it's no fun. And even less fun is trying to work on the insurance aspects afterwards and getting full value after an auto accident. I'm here with David Cowan from WrecExpert.com. And David, you have an unusual and important niche for people after an auto accident.
We have a passion to teach car wreck clients what they deserve. Getting your car repaired only fixes the damage and the paint. Getting paid for your car's loss in value is called diminished value. Chances are you've never heard of this before because most people aren't looking out for you. We help people collect thousands to tens of thousands of dollars for their car's loss in value after the wreck.
And if somebody wants to come to you for that, what's the original assessment cost them?
We offer a free review of any insurance claim to see how we can help.
You can't beat that. Great expertise and assistance in getting full value after an auto accident from David Cowan. Visit RecExpert.com and learn more. If you'd like to join these and other great sponsors and market your business to a growing and engaged audience, contact us at Danny@DannyKlinkscale.com. Look forward to hearing from you. Welcome back, and a 5-4 loss for the Kansas City Royals on Sunday means they are 11-17 on the season. It was kind of typical of a lot of the losses the Royals have had this year where they fall behind. Their starting pitching doesn't go very long or very effectively. The bullpen's pretty good, but maybe they give up one late, and then the Royals fall short. They rally a little bit, show some fight. And the Royals, after a pretty good stretch, have lost 6 of their last 10. They're 11-17. They certainly aren't really part of the picture, and we'll see how they react as the trading deadline comes their way. Most people think it's going to be a slow trading deadline, but one of the issues for the Royals became glaring in a couple of ways this particular week. This week featured the San Diego Padres hitting grand slams in 5 of 6 days. They hit 5 grand slams in 6 days. Now, that's a remarkable feat. Sometimes a team might get 1 or 2 in an entire season, but they did that. 5 slams in 6 days. They're calling the Slam Diego Padres, which I guess is somewhat clever. Well, that is in stark contrast to the fact that the Royals are 2 for 21 with the bases loaded this year. Usually you look at someone's bases loaded stats individually or a league as a whole, and the batting average, the slugging percentage are way, way up from normal. I mean, much higher. Of course, bases loaded, no place to put you, pressure on the pitcher, and people tend to really thrive in those situations. There are a host of players that are looking at this. There must be 40 players who haven't made an out this year with the bases loaded. Now it's usually 2 or 3 at-bats, but so the Royals are absolutely against the curve on that, and it happened a couple times again on Sunday. It was a big part of the loss as the Royals fell, and 2 for 21, just remarkable in its ineptitude, really, and it's a big part, production with the bases loaded. Well, Mike Matheny said yesterday it might have flipped 5 games. That sounds a little rich for me, but still, it certainly could have made an impact, a big hit here or there with the bases loaded, and hey, maybe even a grand slam tossed in there like the San Diego Padres do. The offensive story for the Royals certainly is hurt by the fact that Salvador Perez has gone on the DL with his dizziness, and that certainly kills length in the lineup. You take a very productive bat as a catcher and replace it with what most teams have at catcher, which is a field first player like Cam Gallagher. But the usual suspects are doing their work with Merrifield hitting .312, and Perez was doing a good job. Jorge Soler is hitting for power, although he has certainly struggled with consistency a little bit more. And then the bottom of the lineup continues to really struggle. Alex Gordon hit a home run over the weekend, but he has been less than anything you would have hoped for. Nicky Lopez has hit a little bit better in the second spot, but certainly nothing to write home about. So the Royals are kind of lapsing into a situation where the future is all the conversation and not the present. And that, of course, is a shame, and especially is a shame in a landscape where there is so much going on in the world of sports. And what you're looking at for the Royals now is just what the pieces are for the future, what the pieces are that maybe can be in place. And you're looking at the young pitchers, and, of course, in their last couple starts, Brady Singer and Daniel Bubic, or Chris Bubic, rather, are in situations where they have struggled a bit. They both have ERAs over 5 now. You could have hoped for sort of a breakout miracle as far as those guys are concerned, but it really hasn't happened. And as I said, the most interesting thing right now for the Royals is if they are going to make some moves that will perhaps pay off in the future, as the Royals still absolutely look like they are a couple years away. The NBA is creating a lot of excitement, and I don't know whether it's the fact that there aren't fans in the stands to create a little more defensive intensity, but certainly the earmark for the NBA has been scoring in the bubble. And all kinds of games that are in the 130s, individual performances across the board, like the one that was getting the most attention yesterday, Luka Doncic, a triple-double featuring 43 points and a game-winning buzzer beater in overtime as the Mavs and the Clippers are tied up at 2 games apiece. We saw a game yesterday where each team had a 50-point scorer in the game. We saw Damian Lillard average almost 50 or around 50 down the stretch of the pre-playoff games, and it is crazy scoring. It's entertaining. The NBA product is a good one as far as the bubble is concerned. It looks better than most other bubbles have. The game itself probably lends itself more to that, but it certainly is high-level entertainment. I think you will see more defensive basketball when there's actually fans in the stands whenever that happens, and we hope, obviously, that maybe in another season. Of course, the NBA season will start right around Christmas time, so we don't know if we'll have that by then, but certainly they're putting out a very entertaining product, and somewhat under the radar. So is the NHL, and the NHL normally at this time of year would get a little bit more attention, but now all the sports are kind of playing. But certainly for hockey fans, it still is playoff hockey, and that's high intensity and really high entertainment value. A lot of things for fans, sports fans who had nothing to do but watch old games and lists and virtual games for a while. They've got a full menu of things to watch these days, including in the world of golf, where a truly remarkable story was carved out at the AIG British Women's Open, where Sophia Popov, a German golfer, 27 years old, was 304th in the world coming in. She had begun the restart of the LPGA season by caddying for her friend. She was on the Symetra Tour, had some success there this year, but had not won. She went out and played something called the Cactus Tour and won 3 times there, so her game was in good shape. She played a Symetra Tour event right before going across the pond and finished second in that, but still 304th in the world, had won just over $100,000 in her entire professional golf career, and in this tournament, she won $650,000 for winning, which is a very high purse for the women's game. Usually winning, you win about $200,000. This was $650,000, more than 5 times what she had ever won, and it didn't look like a fluke either. She was poised and played great golf at Royal Troon. Links golf is always fun to watch, and it was a great thing to take in as Sophia Popov carved out maybe one of the most remarkable stories in the history of golf as far as an upstart winning a major. Well, really and truly one of the greatest performances in the history of the PGA Tour, and in just a regular old event, was Dustin Johnson, who won by 11 shots at the Northern Trust in New England, 30 under par. And if a 30 under par in a tournament which you won by 11, and a tournament which you shot 60, and a tournament where you made about 1 million birdies could be in any way a little bit disappointing, this really had a note of that for Dustin Johnson, as he was 11 under par after 11 holes on Friday. Earlier in the day, Scotty Scheffler had shot 59, and really, literally just an hour later, there was another 59 watch on, and really, this was more of a 57 or a 56 watch. Jim Furyk, the only golfer in the history of the PGA Tour to shoot 58, and it almost seemed inevitable that Johnson would, well, certainly at least break 60 and shoot 59, but maybe set the all-time PGA scoring record with a 57 or a 56. Well, he parred the last 7 holes, didn't get even the 59. Even the 59. Sounds bad, doesn't it? But he clearly was not crushed by it, went out and absolutely waxed the field. 30 under par for Dustin Johnson, and probably the only real remarkable thing about Dustin Johnson in his career, he's back to number one in the world, is that he has won only one major. And hey, a lot of great golfers have won no majors, so it's hardly a total black mark. But with the talent he possesses and the fact that he is one of those golfers that when he's on his game, he can absolutely crush the opposition, and he did that. And of course, that was the first playoff event. The second one will be next week. Everybody, whenever anything comes around to the world of golf, Tiger Woods is the conversation. He did make the cut in this tournament. He didn't play particularly well. He had a good front nine yesterday and shot a good score, but he will be 57th, I believe it is, going into the next round of the playoffs. He has to get to 30 to make it to East Lake, where, of course, he had such a remarkable story a few years ago in the Tour Championship. Basically just about has to win this week in order to get there. Doesn't seem likely, but at least he will be in another playoff event and play consecutive golf tournaments, which he also doesn't do very much. How about that for variety in sports? All around the map on a Monday, on Monday Musings, Danny Sports Wrap, brought to you by Nononsensehealthcareninja.com. Stay tuned to all the things at DannyKlinkscale.com, written, recorded, spoken, Mondays, Wednesdays, Fridays, everything in between, from music to sports to nonsense and everything in between. We always love doing it for you, and we've got variety in sports today, and wasn't that fun?
We hope you enjoyed the latest Danny Klinkscale Reasonably Irreverent podcast. Come back soon for something fresh and new. This podcast was made possible by our great sponsors like
Nononsensehealthcareninja.com, specializing in expert healthcare guidance and assistance for you.